Good day. Following on from the mixing of the primary colours with the whole wine paint, today we're going to talk about just blues. Now, this brand, which is M. Graham, says that this word here, Pathello, basically, blue, is the primary blue. But the whole wine, this one. The whole wine says that this is primary cyan. And this is Cobalt Blue, which is the only other blue I have in a tube. But how many blues can we mix just using these? Let's see. First of all, the Holbein primary cyan. I'll put a little bit there. And we shall just water that out. Water that out. Adding more water as we go. Until we have little to no pigment left, so we can see a range of colours. This still has solid pigment in it. So that's primary blue according to Holbein, and this is primary blue according to M. Graham. Whoops. It seems to be a lot softer paint. It came out quite quick. Let's put a little bit to the side and we'll do the same thing. While we give them a chance to dry, we'll do the same thing with the Cobalt Blue, although it's not considered to be a primary. Let's just see how much difference there is. This has lost some of its binder. I can already tell this has had something else added to it, at least white. Let's look at our two primaries. It makes you wonder, because to me that and that is very different colours. The Holbein primary blue, called primary cyan, and the Pathello Blue, which M. Graham lists as primary, totally different colours. The Pathello seems to me to have a little bit of red in it, possibly more like a solid ultramarine. Ultramarine has an interesting story of its own, and while I don't have a tube of it, I will be mixing some, but it's really a watercolour. It's a transparent colour, and therefore any gouache ultramarine loses that specialness of being able to have a transparency. The original ultramarine was made by using lapis lazuli, and I don't know how to say that, but it was used in the scarf, the headband, the blue headband of the girl with the pearl earring. Go and have a look at that picture. Go and get a close look of the original picture. There's a lot of grey in that blue, and at the end, very last stroke, you can see that he put down on the scarf. It is very, very transparent. So gouache is opaque. We're not going to get a real ultramarine. But seeing I think this has red in it already, let's get some of this paint up, put it up here. I need more anyway. So that's the Pathello Blue. I'll just get a little bit of, and once again we have a little bit of a conflict between M. Graham saying that Pearl Red is primary and Holbein saying that primary is magenta. Primary is magenta, so this is closer to truth than this, which I think we'll find has a little bit of orangeness, but we'll do the reds another day. I just need a little bit up here so I can mix it. So modern ultramarine comes in two flavours. French ultramarine has a tiny bit of red in it to make it a warm colour. I have to add more than that. Almost, but not quite, being a violet. That's a pretty good example of French ultramarine. And gouache can be used as watercolour if you add enough water, so we can get that transparent look. But it's better just to use gouache for what it is. Using the Pathello again, ultramarine that isn't French. One, doesn't have an accent, and two, is a cool blue, so it has a touch of yellow. Maybe it doesn't want to go on. So if we add this as tiniest touch, we don't want to make it green, but we want to make it a bit warmer. Oh. I'm sorry, I said warmer, cooler. So a green ultramarine is a cooler shade, and to me that's fits with the name of ultramarine, the whole marine ocean feel of the colour. Of course the ocean looks different on different days, how deep the water is, what part of the world you're in. The Greek islands' water is always very bright and shiny. So they're some basic colours, but there's a lot of other colours of blue. There's here I'll use the Cobalt, I think, for this. Colour we call turquoise. It has a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, sorry, but lots of white. So there, see what colour we've got. possibly a bit too light to be called turquoise. Maybe more a snow white, an ice white. The blue you see in glaciers. I'll just take some of that paint and make it a little darker. Tiny fraction more yellow. Here we have an aqua, once again, a lovely watercolour. So you can see there's yellow in this blue, but it's still blue. There's also white in this blue, but that doesn't change the hue. Now let's try that with the primary. I'll go back over here and see if we can't make a bit more turquoise. Lost my white. And this is why when you're buying paint, you always buy many more times the white than you any other colour. So once again, we're adding yellow to this mixture. And this is the cyan. So the same sort of mixture as the other. This is Cobalt Blue with the same sort of mixture. And this is the cyan. And since getting my Holbein paints, I am very impressed with the amount of pigment they have in them. Because of the white, we're not going to get so much transparency out of that. Another one I wanted to talk about was Indigo. Indigo has, you look it up online and there are so many different shades, going from a bright light blue almost to this, to a really dark blue. So you can add black to darken a colour, but you're going to muddy it at the same time. Best way is to add a complementary to it. A cadmium red would make it nice and dark, but I don't have cadmium red. I'm going to make a orange. I think this is just out of your sight up here, and add that to it. And I think I'm going to, maybe not, maybe a little bit more red. And it will darken the colour. There we go. Now that's what I always thought of as indigo. And when you use the dye of indigo, it can go a very grey colour to a very blue colour. There we go, indigo. So indigo has something in it to darken it. As I said, you can use black, but it'll muddy the colour. So using the complementary, and the darkest complementary. So if you use your darkest blue with the darkest complementary colour, an orangey red, leaning more to a dark red, you'll get indigo. Now, going back to the cyan, because I like it. And a little bit of red. I don't have much red left up here. More red. We're getting something along the lines of indigo with that too. Let's add some white and see where that takes us. Just a little bit. Indigo gets its name from India because that's where it was originally brought into the West from. There are so many different blues, and everybody has a different name for it. While looking up some different blues for this show, I came across Admiral Blue, President Blue, Cadet Blue. I'd never heard of these colours before, and looking at them, they all looked pretty much around navy. Some were a tiny bit brighter, some were a tiny bit darker. But each company can make its own names. There we go. That's just a little taste of the colours that you can mix with your blues and still have blue by adding just a touch of the other primaries and white. You can create many shades of blue, which is very important when you're painting marine life, an ocean scene, even a sky has lots of different shades of blue in it. I think over here gives the sort of image, that cyan. When you look straight up on a sunny day, that is the shade you see. However, as it gets down to the horizon, we get the atmosphere leaking in. It gets lighter and less intense. So you could still use cyan and just add some more water, or if you're using your gouache in an oil-like manner, you could add a bit of white. There's this could be periwinkle blue, as well as maybe for a glacier or ice. We've got the French ultramarine and ultramarine, whereas the French has more red, so it is warmer, and the ultramarine has more green, which we made by adding yellow, so it's a cooler colour. So it's important to know the temperature of the paint you're using, because if look at my arm. If you use the wrong temperature in a painting, the chroma, the colour, might be very close, but just that little bit too warm, and your painting will look wrong, and you might not be able to work out, I'm just not happy with this, and I don't know why. So why not drag out some paper, drag out all the blues you've got. I wish I had more than 3, but I've only got 3, and start practicing mixing blues, just blues, and see how many you can get. And let me know if you get up around 20, 30, 40. Put it in the comments. So I hope you learned something about blues. We've no way covered everything, But I hope you've got something out of this, the urge to practice maybe. And please like and subscribe. It would mean an awful lot to me if you did. Thank you very much. Bye.